In this video, we've got it all. Engine repair, amazing wiring fixes, destruction, and of course, science! Hey guys, Josh with the Update channel, and in this video, I'm not really sure what we're going to be working on. Well, what I'm currently working on is a case backhoe. And the reason I'm working on a case backhoe is I'm waiting for a cylinder head for a C10 that I'm working on. It's the same C10 that I showed you in the previous video that had the cracked block. We got a bare block. I built most of it, but we're waiting for the cylinder head to get back from the machine shop. So what am I doing to this case unit? Well, let me show you. So one of the many repairs on this case was that almost all the external lights weren't working. Now, the switch here is to turn on the work lamps, which are a separate set of lights from the headlights. They're the center lights here. Now, generally when you get all your lights not working, it's a system problem, but this is not the case on this one. Case, get it? And it's actually getting power. Maybe it's not getting a ground though. So what I'm going to use here, generally what I use when I'm checking lights is a power probe. And I forget which model this is. I think it's the 2 or the 3. Oh, yeah, it's a 3 it says there, but I've had this for years. And now Power Probe's not telling me to recommend this probe, but I do recommend their products for troubleshooting electrical systems. Mostly lights. You don't want to usually use this for testing an ECM or something because, of course, you can damage it. And the reason you can damage it is because you can actually apply system voltage or give it a ground on any circuit you want whenever you want. It'll also tell you if there's power or ground there. So what I'm doing there is you could see it was hot, and then this other one has a good ground. So what I'm doing is, we know it has a good ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a power or ground, and it should work because it's a light. It's only got a power in and a ground out. And I gave it a ground, and it didn't work. So it needs a new light bulb. Now the flashers are a different story. Flashers weren't working, power at the switch, and here's what I found. A light. Look at this. Amazing fix that someone else has done here. Really love it when you go to fix something and someone else just hacked the crap out of it. And that's, look at this. This is not how light bulbs work, people. You don't just wrap wires around them and expect them to just fix themselves. So they're going to be getting all new lights and fixtures. Now our next little subject here is we're going to be talking about infrared guns. Now I've had this little Craftsman infrared gun for 15 years. I think it still works. Works good. Problem is, of course, you have to know what you're pointing it at to be able to tell where a hot or a cold spot is. What we've got here is a infrared camera. Now, Top Dawn, you may have never heard of them before, but they actually sent me this unit, but they are not paying me to promote their product, but I'm just doing a little video on the infrared camera that they sent me. I've wanted one of these for years, and they're fairly expensive, at least like a FLIR one or a Fluke one. You're talking over $1,000. This one is a lot less than that, but it works pretty good. It's pretty cool. It's got a rechargeable battery. It's very light. Pretty good resolution. Like you can see the Cummins symbol there in the X15. Look at that. And of course, it's going to show you wherever there's a hot or a cold spot. Let's look at the exhaust side. Look at that. You can see the cold air coming into the turbo there. You can see the block that's hot. Of course, the exhaust manifold behind it's very hot. And this also will take a picture if you want. It's got a little trigger, and you just hit the trigger, and it'll take a picture, and then you can upload that to a camera if you want to give it to a customer, per se, or something like that. It's a pretty cool unit. I haven't had a chance to use it a ton as far as on troubleshooting because I've mostly been just doing engine rebuilds. But I did notice this. We're looking at the fuse and relay block here. Look at how hot 2 of the relays are compared to the other ones. 100 and 120 degrees. And the ambient temperature is around 70 degrees. And at first I was like, is that right? Yeah, that one relay is way hotter. Or I should say the 2 that are red there. Way hotter than the other ones. Thought it's a pretty cool tool. I would recommend it. If you're going to get it, I'll put an Amazon link for it. Also the power probe in the video description.
But let's get back to doing some cat engine work. So this is the C10 short block. Well, not a short block, actually, a bare block. So I had to do all the freeze plugs and everything, or Cat calls them core plugs. And we're getting ready to set our cylinder head on. Now, the C10 head gasket's pretty simple. It's just a head gasket, and then there's 6 little O-rings. And of course, you want to check your lifter brackets before you put the head on, because you can't take them off once you have the head on. Now, you might notice there are 2 head bolts with no heads on them there. Those are just guide studs. You don't have to use those, but I pretty much use them whenever I get a chance to. And the reason I use guide studs is the last thing you want to do is set the head on not straight or damage the head gasket or knock one of the little seals out of the way when you're setting it. So especially if you're on a C15 where you have about 700 seals, it seems like, between the head and the block. But these are a lot simpler, but still I use the guide studs. Now, all new head bolts. This is not a preference. Cat tells you to get new head bolts on any of the C10s, 11s, 12s, or 13s. Now, if you're looking here, notice the ports. They actually have the intake and exhaust port on the C10 on the same side. The C12 is the same way. And if you see these little holes, there's actually an external fuel manifold that I actually have to install on this head. Now, if you're wondering why the head looks so dirty, this was at the machine shop, and the face of the head was milled, but they didn't clean the head, which is kind of irritating. Now, something weird about C10 also, the exhaust valves are back and forth on each one. So you got an exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust, exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust. So you got to be careful when you run your overhead. But we're not running the overhead yet. What we're going to be doing is finishing our torque turns. Now, these heads, new head bolts, like I said, and they do a torque turn, not just the torque. Like a C15, the final torque's 330 foot-pounds. These, you torque them to 120 foot-pounds. Then you torque turn them 90 degrees. Same as the C12. On the C13s, it's a similar procedure, but it's more of a torque turn. I believe it's 125 foot-pounds, and then it's 120 degrees. But these, it's 90 degrees. So, a couple of different ways to do that. You can use an impact wrench, and I've done that several times. That's usually in chassis. Since this is not in chassis, it's actually more precise, and I'd say actually easier to just do it with this 3/4 inch drive ratchet. It's not that much torque to get it to turn that 90 degrees if you have a long enough ratchet. So that's the way I do it. It's more precise than impacting it, so gets the job done right. The downside is you have to do this procedure twice. You actually do torque it. So 120 degree, or 120 foot-pounds, then 90 degrees, then loosen everything, then do it again. You can see I've installed the injectors now, have the valve cover base on, have the coolant manifold, which is external on these. But I have a question for you viewers. On a lot of the Cat parts, it says Cat, and then it says A/F, and then a Cat part number. These are Cat parts. What does the A/F stand for? I actually do not know, and I've wondered for a long time. I always wondered maybe that part is supposed to face out or down or something. If you know, leave it in the comment section. How about a little destruction of the week? In this week's destruction of the week, we have a very unfortunate 3306, which is a very good Cat engine in my opinion. This one, Rod decided to not stay connected to the crankshaft and decided to put some very, very large holes in the block. Not only did it do that, it also snapped the camshaft in half. That's the end of the camshaft there. Poor little engine. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.